Blessings at an altar she never chose, forced to marry a Korean MAFIA boss because of her brother's gambling debt. But when the groom lifts his mask, her blood runs cold. Jason Park, the boy who made her high school years hell, who drove her to try ending her life at 16. This wasn't chance. He's been hunting her for 6 years, orchestrated everything to trap her in marriage. "Hello, Blessing," he whispers. Grip like iron when she tries to run. "You're mine now. You always were." But before we dive into this twisted story, tell us where you are watching from, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss how this ends. Because trust me, you won't see it coming. The wedding hall smelled of white roses and something darker, something Blessing couldn't name. Her hands trembled as she gripped the bouquet, fingers crushing the delicate stems until thorns bit into her palms. Blood, she thought distantly. There would be blood in this marriage one way or another. She stood at the altar in a dress that cost more than her entire year's rent, ivory silk against her deep brown skin, and waited for the man who owned her brother's life. David had gambled away everything, their father's legacy, their mother's memory, and now Blessing's freedom. The Kang Syndicate didn't forget debts. They collected them in cash or flesh. The doors opened. Blessing's heart stopped. He walked like death itself, each step measured and deliberate. A black suit, tailored to a body built for violence. The traditional Korean mask covered his face, white as bone, painted with red accents that looked like dried blood. The Kang family's trademark, meant to terrify. It worked. But Blessing had survived worse than fear. She'd survived high school. The officiant's voice droned through the ceremony, words in Korean she'd learned to understand during her 3 years in Seoul, for better or worse, in sickness and health, until death, which in this world probably meant next Tuesday. "You may now remove the mask," the officiant said. Time fractured. His hands rose slowly, fingers curling around the mask's edges. Blessing's breath caught in her throat, pulse hammering so loud she barely heard the collective gasp from the witnesses, all men in black suits, all carrying guns. The mask fell away. No, 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 no. Those eyes, sharp and dark and filled with something that looked like satisfaction. That smirk, the one that had haunted her nightmares for 6 years. The scar cutting through his left eyebrow, the one she'd given him when she fought back that final time. "Hello, Blessing," he said, voice smooth as silk and just as suffocating. "Miss me?" Her vision blurred. She was 16 again, pressed against cold lockers while he laughed. She was crying in the bathroom while her art project, 6 weeks of work, lay shredded in the trash. She was showing her mother the bruises and lying about how she got them, because what could her mother do against Jason? Park, the Korean-American exchange student whose father donated entire buildings to the school. "Jason," she whispered. "Jiho now," he corrected, stepping closer. "Kang Jiho, but you can scream whatever name you want tonight, Blessing. I won't stop you." She tried to run. His hand shot out, iron around her wrist. The crowd stirred but didn't move. They knew better. "The ceremony isn't over, wife," he said softly, and Blessing felt the world tilt sideways. She forced herself to breathe, to think. This was a nightmare, but she'd survived nightmares before. She lifted her chin, met his gaze, and said clearly, "I'd rather die." Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise, maybe, or hunger. "That can be arranged," he murmured, then pulled her close and kissed her. It wasn't gentle, it was a brand, a claim, his mouth demanding surrender while his hand tangled in her braids. Blessing's mind screamed, but her body, traitorous thing, recognized something in the way he touched her. Desperation, maybe, or long-buried want. She bit his lip. Hard, he pulled back, blood on his mouth, and smiled. "There she is, my fighter. I'm not yours," Blessing spat. "The papers say different." He released her wrist, produced a handkerchief, dabbed at his bleeding lip. But we can negotiate terms later. Right now, we have guests to entertain." Before Blessing could respond, he turned to the crowd, switching to rapid Korean. Blessing caught enough to understand, speaking about family honor, new alliances, and strength through unity, all lies. This wasn't about alliance. This was about something twisted and personal. The reception was held in the Kang family mansion, a sprawling estate in Gangnam that screamed old money and older violence. Blessing was paraded through rooms filled with Korea's criminal elite, men who smiled with too many teeth, and women who looked at her like she was a curiosity or a threat. "Smile," Jiho murmured in her ear as they moved through the crowd. "You're supposed to be happy." "Go to hell," she muttered back. "Already there, darling. You're just joining me." A man approached, elderly, with eyes like a shark. He spoke in Korean, fast and sharp. Jiho's hand tightened on Blessing's waist, fingers digging into her ribs hard enough to bruise. "My uncle," he said quietly after the man left, "wants to know if the Nigerian bride can produce proper heirs. I told him you're very fertile." Blessing's face burned. "You had no right." "I have every right. I own your brother's debt, which means I own you. The sooner you accept that, the easier this gets." He paused, studied her face. "You're crying. Stop it." She wasn't crying. She refused to give him the satisfaction, but her eyes burned and her throat ached, and somewhere in her chest, something was breaking all over again. "Why?" she asked. "Why me? Why this?" Jiho's expression shuttered. "Finish your champagne, we're leaving." The penthouse was worse than the wedding. Floor to ceiling, windows overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline, minimalist furniture in blacks and whites, and everywhere photographs of her. Blessing stopped breathing. They covered an entire wall, her walking to university, her at the Han River taking photographs, her laughing with friends at a cafe, her sleeping, God help her, sleeping in her own apartment, taken through her window. "What is this?" Her voice came out broken. "What the hell is this?" Jiho shrugged off his jacket, loosened his tie. "Insurance. I needed to know where you were, what you were doing, who you were with." His jaw tightened on the last word. "You're insane. You're actually insane, probably." He poured himself whiskey. "Neat. Your room is down the hall. Ensuite bathroom, walk-in closet, balcony access. Everything you need. Except freedom. Especially that." He knocked back the whiskey, poured another. "Ground rules. You don't leave without my permission. You don't contact anyone without my knowledge. You don't speak to other men without me present. Break these rules and David loses a finger. Break them again and he loses his life." Blessing's stomach turned. "You're a monster." "Yes." He set down the glass, moved toward her with that predatory grace that made her heart race for all the wrong reasons. "But I'm your monster now. Better get used to it." He stopped inches away, close enough that she could smell his cologne, expensive and dark, close enough to see the pulse in his throat, steady while hers galloped. "I won't consummate this marriage," Blessing said, hating how her voice shook. "I know." His hand rose, and she flinched, but he only tucked a stray braid behind her ear. His fingers lingered on her cheek, gentle in a way that felt more dangerous than violence. "You will, though, eventually, because part of you remembers, doesn't it? How you felt about me before I showed you who I really was." Blessing jerked away. "I hated you. I've always hated you." "Liar." He smiled, sad and knowing. "You loved me first. That's why the hate cut so deep." He left her standing there, disappeared into another part of the penthouse. Blessing heard a door close, a lock click. She was alone with the photographs and her racing heart and the terrible, horrible truth she'd buried for 6 years. He was right. She had loved him first. If you're watching this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Trust me, you'll want to see what happens next. and drop a comment telling me if Blessing should run or fight, because it's about to get so much worse. Blessing didn't sleep. She sat on the edge of the pristine white bed in her gilded prison and watched Sol's lights blur through tears she refused to shed. Her phone was gone, confiscated by one of Jiho's men at the reception. Her passport, her wallet, her keys, all disappeared into the black hole of the Kang Syndicate's control. She had nothing except memories she couldn't escape. Seoul, foreign school, senior year. Jason Park had transferred in October, all sharp cheekbones and careless charm, speaking perfect English with an American accent that made the other Korean kids whisper. Blessing had been invisible until he decided she wasn't. It started small. Him sitting next to her in the library, asking about her photography, sharing his lunch when she forgot hers, walking her to the bus stop even though his driver waited in a black Mercedes that cost more than her family's house. "You see things differently," he'd said once, looking through her camera at the photos she'd taken of Seoul's morning markets. "Everyone else tries to make this city look perfect. You show the truth." She'd fallen so stupidly, completely in love with him. Then Mark John asked her to winter formal. The next day, Jason shoved Mark down a stairwell. Broken arm, fractured ribs, lucky to be alive. Mark transferred schools. Jason smiled at Blessing across the cafeteria like nothing happened. That's when the real torture began. Her locker vandalized, her projects destroyed, rumours that she'd slept with teachers for grades, photos of her changing in the locker room, photoshopped and spread across every phone in school. And Jason, always Jason, watching with those dark eyes while his friends laughed. The worst part, he'd done it all with the same hands that once held her camera like it was precious. The same mouth that had almost kissed her behind the art building before Mark ruined everything. A knock on the bedroom door shattered the memory. "I know you're awake," Jiho's voice came through. "Put something on. We're going out." "It's 3 a.m, Blessing called back. "And I don't sleep. Congratulations on discovering my first flaw. Get dressed or I'll come in and dress you myself." She believed him. 15 minutes later, she emerged in jeans and a simple black shirt, her braids pulled back, no makeup to hide the exhaustion bruising her eyes. Jiho waited by the door in dark clothes that made him look like the criminal he was. "Where are we going?" Blessing demanded. "You'll see." He opened the door, gestured. "After you, wife." The honorific felt like a slap every time. They took the private elevator down to the garage where a fleet of expensive cars gleamed under fluorescent lights. Jiho led her to a black Audi, opened her door, waited. When she didn't move, he sighed. "I can carry you. I will carry you. Your choice." Blessing got in the car. They drove through Seoul's empty streets, past shuttered shops and sleeping apartments, heading toward a part of the city Blessing didn't recognize. Older buildings, narrow alleys, the kind of neighborhood where people didn't ask questions. Jiho parked outside what looked like an abandoned school. Blessing's blood went cold. "No," she whispered. "Yes." He killed the engine, turned to face her. Seoul Foreign School closed 2 years ago. Budget cuts, they said. Really, my father bought the property and made sure it stayed empty. He tilted his head, studying her. "Do you know why?" Blessing couldn't breathe. "Because I asked him to." Jiho's voice dropped to something raw. I couldn't stand the thought of other people walking those halls, sitting in that library, standing behind the art building where I almost... He stopped, jaw clenching. "Where I ruined everything. You're not making sense," Blessing managed. "I know." He got out of the car, came around to her side, opened her door. "Come on. Time for show and tell." She should have refused, should have stayed in the car, locked the doors, screamed until someone came. But curiosity, terrible and compelling, pulled her forward. The school was a tomb. Their footsteps echoed through empty hallways where faded posters still clung to walls, announcing events that never happened. Jiho led her unerringly through the darkness, no flashlight needed, like he'd walked this path 1,000 times. They stopped outside the art room. "Do you remember," Jiho said quietly, "the day you came back after winter break? January 15th. You wore that yellow sweater your mother made, the one with the sunflowers embroidered on the sleeves." Blessing remembered. She'd worn it like armour, trying to be brave after the Mark incident. "I was waiting in here." Jiho pushed open the art room door. "Skipped first period because I knew you had a free block. I was going to apologise for Mark, explain that I'd lost my mind seeing you with him, tell you that his voice cracked, that I'd been in love with you since the day you yelled at me for taking your camera without asking." "Stop," Blessing whispered. "You came in," he continued, relentless, "singing something in Igbo. You didn't see me in the corner. You went straight to your portfolio cabinet, pulled out your winter break project. Remember what it was?" She did. She'd photographed her mother's hands, every wrinkle and scar, paired with stories written in both English and Igbo. A love letter to immigrant sacrifice. "It was beautiful," Jiho said, "and so beautiful I couldn't breathe. And then Sarah and Jessica came in, started talking about how Mark was afraid to come back to school, how you'd probably bewitched him with African voodoo." His hands clenched into fists. "They didn't know I was there. Started going through your cabinet, laughing at your work. Called your mother's hands monkey paws." Blessing's eyes burned. I snapped. Jiho turned to face her, and in the moonlight streaming through dirty windows, he looked younger. Broken, broke Sarah's nose, fractured Jessica's wrist, got suspended for a week. My father was furious, said I was making the family look weak, fighting over some African girl, told me if I ever spoke to you again, he'd make sure your mother lost her nursing job, your father's restaurant would burn down, your little brother would never get into college. "So you destroyed me instead," Blessing said numbly. "I tried to stay away. Lasted 3 days." He laughed, hollow. "Then I saw you talking to David Kim in the library, laughing at something he said, and I thought, if I can't have you, I'll make sure no one else can either. If you hate me, at least you're thinking about me." "That's not love," Blessing spat. "That's obsession." "I know." He stepped closer, and she saw tears on his face. Actual tears. "I know the difference now. Too late, but I know. I was 16 and stupid and my father's son, which meant I only understood how to take what I wanted, break what I couldn't have." "Why are you telling me this?" Her voice broke. "You think this explains anything? Makes it better?" "No." He reached into his jacket, pulled out something small, a photograph, edges worn soft with handling. He held it out. Blessing took it with shaking hands. It was her, 16 and smiling, caught mid-laugh behind the art building. She'd never seen this photo before, didn't know it existed. "I took that," Jiho said. "The day before Mark asked you to formal, you were so happy. I was working up the courage to ask you myself when he appeared, and I lost my mind." He swallowed hard. "I've carried that picture every day since, through business school at Columbia, through my father's training to take over the family business, through every terrible thing I've done in his name, reminding myself what I destroyed because I was too broken to deserve it. Then why this?" Blessing gestured wildly. "Why force me into marriage if you know what you did was unforgivable?" "Because I'm still broken." His voice dropped to a whisper. "Because when I found out your brother owed us money, I saw a chance to have you again and I took it. Because I'm my father's son, and we don't know how to want things gently." He paused. "And because I'm dying, Blessing. And before I do, I needed you to know the truth." The world stopped. What? Jiho pulled up his sleeve, showed her the inside of his arm, track marks, but not from drugs. From IV lines, regular and recent. Stage 4 lymphoma, he said flatly. Diagnosed 6 months ago. I've got maybe a year, probably less. I've refused treatment because the chemicals mess with my head, and I needed to be sharp. Needed to find you and bring you home before... He stopped, turned away. My father left me an empire built on blood. I'm trying to dismantle it before I die, but it's complicated, dangerous. I needed someone I could trust to help me. Trust? Blessing's laugh was bitter. You think I'd help you after everything? No. He looked back at her. But I thought if I told you the truth, showed you who I really am underneath the monster, you might understand, and maybe, just maybe, remember the boy you loved before I killed him. Blessing stood there, photograph clutched in her hands, mind reeling. This was manipulation, had to be, another sick game. But his eyes, God, his eyes looked so tired. I need to go, she whispered. I need to think. Okay. He pulled out a phone, pressed it into her hands. Your brother's number is programmed in. Mine too. Only 2 contacts. Use it. He started walking away, then stopped. Blessing. That yellow sweater. I have it. Bought it from your mother 3 years ago, for more money than she could refuse. Told her I was a collector of immigrant stories. He smiled, sad and broken. I sleep with it sometimes. Pretend it still smells like you. Then he left her alone in the art room, with ghosts and moonlight and a truth she didn't know how to hold. Comment below if you think Blessing should believe him or run, because I'm not even sure anymore, and hit that like button if your heart is breaking, because mine is shattered. Blessing stood in the empty art room until dawn, painted the sky purple and gold. The photograph of her teenage self felt like it was burning through her palm, but she couldn't let it go. Around her, dust motes danced in the early light, and she could almost see them. The ghosts of who they'd been. A girl who believed in love. A boy who didn't know how to hold it without crushing it. She found Jiho on the roof, where students used to sneak during lunch. He sat on the ledge like he had nothing to lose, which apparently he didn't. His jacket was discarded, shirt sleeves rolled up, revealing more than just IV marks. Scars crisscrossed his forearms, some old, some newer. Self-inflicted, she realized with a jolt. He'd been hurting himself. You shouldn't be up here, he said without turning. It's not safe. You're one to talk. Blessing stayed by the door, maintaining distance. How long have you been cutting yourself? Since the day you tried to kill yourself. His voice was flat. March 23rd, you took pills. Your mother found you. They pumped your stomach at Seoul National University Hospital. I bribed a nurse to tell me if you lived or died. Blessing's breath caught. She'd never told anyone about that, except her therapist. How did you... Because I did that to you. He finally looked at her, and his face was destroyed. Every cruel word, every destroyed project, every humiliation. I did that. I made you want to die, so I figured if you were going to have scars, I should too. That's not how it works, Blessing said, but her voice was weak. I know. Nothing about me works right. He turned back to the sunrise. My father used to say I was defective, too emotional for this business. He tried to beat it out of me, the weakness, the way I felt things too much. He laughed bitterly. Worked great, as you can see. Blessing moved closer, despite herself, drawn by the raw honesty in his voice. She'd spent 6 years hating him, and hate was easy. Hate was clean. This complicated mess of truth and damage was so much harder. Tell me about the cancer, she said. Why? Going to throw a party when I die. But there was no heat in it. Just exhaustion. Maybe. Depends on how honest you are. He smiled, slightly. Fair enough. He patted the ledge next to him. Sit with me. I promise not to push you off, though you'd probably be better off. Blessing sat. keeping a foot of space between them. Seoul sprawled below, waking up, millions of people starting their day with no idea they were living in a city run by criminals. Found the lump myself, Jiho said, about a year ago, ignored it for months. By the time I saw a doctor, it had spread. Lymphatic system, bones, probably my brain by now, though I haven't let them check. He pulled out a cigarette, lit it, took a drag. Doctor said chemo might buy me time. I said no. Why? Because I didn't want to live. He said it simply, like commenting on the weather. I'd spent the last 5 years taking over my father's empire, doing terrible things to terrible people, becoming exactly what he wanted. I was ready to die. Then, he paused, ashed the cigarette. Then I found out about your brother's debt, and suddenly I wasn't ready anymore. Blessing's heart twisted painfully. So, you forced me into marriage as your dying wish. That's sick, Jiho. I know, but I didn't know what else to do. He turned to face her fully. Every therapist I've ever seen says I have attachment issues, obsessive tendencies, can't process emotions in healthy ways. I've tried, Blessing. I've tried medication, therapy, meditation, every fucking thing. Nothing fixes what's broken in me. So you decided to break me too? No. His voice cracked. I decided to tell you the truth before I die, show you all the ugly, twisted parts, let you decide if there's anything worth forgiving, and if there's not. He looked down at the 5-story drop. Then, at least I'll know I tried. Don't. Blessing grabbed his arm without thinking. Don't you dare. Why do you care? His eyes searched hers, desperate. After everything I did, why would you care if I live or die? Because I'm not like you, Blessing said fiercely. I don't get to just stop feeling things because they hurt. And because... She stopped, hating herself. Because I remember him, the boy who shared his lunch, who listened to me talk about my mother's stories, who made me feel seen for the first time in my life. He's dead, Jiho whispered. I killed him. Maybe. Blessing released his arm, looked out at Seoul. Or maybe he's just buried under a lot of pain. Either way, I need time to figure out if I want to dig him up or bury him deeper. They sat in silence as the sun climbed higher. Finally, Jiho spoke. Your brother, David, the debt was fake. He said it casually, like admitting to a minor crime. He does gamble, but he only owed about 5 million won. Pocket change. I had my people inflate it to 500 million, make it look insurmountable. Then I made sure he knew the only way out was you. Blessing's blood went cold. You manipulated everything. Yes, I also bought the building where your photography studio is located, raised everyone, else's rent until they left, made sure you were struggling financially, blocked the grant you applied for at Seoul Arts Foundation, ensured every door closed until the only one open led to me. He met her eyes. I've been engineering your life for 3 years, Blessing, herding you toward this moment. I told you I was broken. She should have slapped him, should have pushed him off that roof. Instead, she laughed, high and slightly hysterical. You're telling me my entire adult life has been a lie. No, your talent is real. Your work is real. I just removed obstacles and created others, shaped the path. He crushed out the cigarette. I know it's unforgivable, but I needed you to know, before we go any further, that this marriage, this situation, it's not fate. It's me. It's always been me. Why? Her voice broke. Why go to all this trouble? You're rich, powerful, dying. You could have anyone. Because I don't want anyone. He turned, and the look in his eyes made her breath stop. I want you. I've always wanted you. And I'm selfish enough, broken enough, to take you even knowing I don't deserve you. Even knowing it's wrong. Before Blessing could respond, his phone rang. Jiho answered in rapid Korean. his expression shifting from open to closed in an instant. When he hung up, the vulnerability was gone, replaced by the cold mask of the Kang air. "We need to go," he said, standing. "Now." "What's wrong?" "My uncle knows about us. He's not happy." Jiho pulled her to her feet, started moving towards the stairs. "I told you he wants proper heirs. He's decided you're not suitable. He's sent people to correct the situation." Meaning what? But Blessing already knew. She'd seen enough crime dramas, meaning they're going to kill you and find me a nice Korean girl to breed with. He said it flatly, pulling her down the stairs faster. "I've got men stationed outside, but we're in his territory. We need to get to the car." They burst out of the building into bright morning sun. Blessing's eyes struggled to adjust, which is why she didn't see the black vans until they were surrounded. Men poured out, at least a dozen, all armed. Jiho shoved Blessing behind him, reaching for a gun she didn't know he carried. "Nephew." An older man stepped forward, silver-haired and smiling like a shark. "Such a disappointment. I raise you, teach you, prepare you to lead, and you thank me by marrying trash." "Careful, uncle." Jiho's voice was deadly soft. "That's my wife you're insulting." "Wife?" The uncle spat. "You dishonor our family by bringing an African into our bloodline. Your father would be ashamed. My father was a racist piece of shit who beat his son for having feelings, so forgive me if I don't care about his shame." Jiho cocked the gun. "Leave, now, or I start shooting family members." "You're outnumbered, boy." "I'm also dying, which means I've got nothing to lose and everything to destroy on my way out." He aimed at his uncle's head. "Want to test me?" The standoff lasted forever and a heartbeat. Then Blessing heard sirens. The uncle's face twisted. "You called the police? On your own family?" "I called everyone." Jiho smiled, cold and satisfied. "Police, media, rival families. By noon, everyone will know the great Kang family tried to murder an innocent woman. Your business partners will disappear. Your political connections will cut ties. I'm tearing it all down, uncle, just like I planned." "You're insane." "Probably. Cancer does that." He kept the gun steady as police cars screeched to a stop, officers pouring out. "Oh, and uncle, those numbered accounts you've been skimming from, I already transferred the money to charitable organizations, women's shelters, immigrant aid, youth programs, all in your name. Enjoy explaining that to your friends." The uncle lunged forward. Jiho fired, deliberately missing, bullet hitting the pavement. The police swarmed in, separating them, shouting orders. In the chaos, Jiho grabbed Blessing's hand. "Run!" he said. They ran. Hit that subscribe button if you want to know how they survive this, and comment your theory about what happens next, because I promise you, you're not ready. They didn't stop running until they reached Hongdae, losing themselves in the crowd of college students and tourists. Jiho led Blessing through winding streets she didn't know existed, finally ducking into a small apartment building that looked abandoned. "Safe house," he explained, unlocking a third-floor unit. "One of many. Uncle doesn't know about this one." Inside was sparse but clean. A bed, a bathroom, a kitchenette. No windows except one overlooking an alley. A place to hide, not live. Blessing's legs gave out. She sat on the floor, back against the wall, shaking. "You shot at your uncle." "Technically, I shot near my uncle." Important distinction. Jiho locked the door, checked the window, then slid down to sit beside her. Not touching, but close. "You okay?" "No." She laughed, bordering on hysteria. "I'm not okay. None of this is okay. You've manipulated my life for years, forced me into marriage, and now people are trying to kill me because I married you. How is any of this okay? It's not." He rested his head against the wall, eyes closed. "I've destroyed everything I touch, including you, especially you." They sat in silence. Blessing counted her breaths, trying to calm down, tried to think rationally. She should call David, tell him what was happening. should contact the Nigerian embassy, claim asylum, should do anything except sit here next to the man who'd ruined her life twice. But she was so tired, and his presence, despite everything, felt familiar. Safe, even, which was insane. "Tell me about the boy," she said finally. "The one I fell in love with? Was any of that real?" Jiho opened his eyes, looked at her. All of it. That was the most real I've ever been. Jason Park, the American exchange student who didn't have to be his father's successor yet, who could just be a kid who liked a girl. His voice softened. "Do you remember the day we met? You tried to steal my camera. You punched me in the stomach." He smiled slightly. "First time anyone had ever hit me. I was shocked, then impressed, then completely gone. You were not gone. You called me a crazy African girl. After you punched me, I was trying to recover some dignity." He shifted, turning to face her. "You were photographing the janitor, Mr. Kim. Everyone ignored him, but you saw him. Saw the story in his hands, his face, asked his permission, thanked him, treated him like he mattered." Blessing remembered. Mr. Kim had smiled so big when she showed him the photos. "That's when I knew," Jiho continued. "You saw people, really saw them, and I'd spent my whole life being invisible except when my father needed a punching bag. I thought maybe if I got close to you, you'd see me too. I did see you," Blessing whispered. "I saw someone kind and funny and talented, someone who drew in the margins of his notebooks when he thought no one was looking, someone who held doors for the lunch ladies and helped freshmen find their classrooms." "That person," Jiho's voice cracked, "that person died the day I hurt Mark. My father found out I'd been suspended for fighting, pulled me out of school for a week, taught me proper lessons about violence. By the time I came back, I understood. Being kind made you weak. Being seen made you vulnerable. Better to be feared. So you made me fear you. I made everyone fear me. But yes, especially you, because you were the weakness I couldn't afford." He reached out slowly, giving her time to move away. When she didn't, his fingers brushed her cheek. "I'm sorry, Blessing, for all of it. The cruelty, the manipulation, the forced marriage. I'm sorry I was too broken to love you the right way." His touch was gentle, reverent, nothing like the boy who'd tormented her. Blessing's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know how to forgive you," she admitted. "I know. I don't expect you to." His thumb caught a falling tear. "But I'm asking you to survive me. However long I have left, help me take down my uncle. Free the people trapped in this organization, and then walk away. Live your life. Be happy. Prove that something good came from knowing me. That's not—" Blessing stopped, overwhelmed. "You can't just die. Cancer doesn't care about my plans. Then fight it. Do the treatment. Live." She grabbed his hand, pressed it against her chest where her heart hammered. "Feel that? That's what living feels like. It's messy and hard and painful, but it's worth it. Don't give up." "Why do you care?" His eyes searched hers. "After everything." "Because I'm an idiot," Blessing said, crying harder now. "Because apparently I still see that boy underneath the monster. Because—" She stopped, terrified of the truth. "Because maybe I never stopped loving him. Even when I hated you, part of me was still waiting for Jason to come back." Jiho made a broken sound, pulled her close. Blessing let him, buried her face in his chest, and sobbed while he held her like she was precious, like she mattered. His hand stroked her braids and he murmured in Korean, words she didn't understand but felt anyway. "I'll try," he said finally. "The treatment. I'll try if you promise to leave when it's over. Build your life somewhere I can't touch it. Deal." Blessing lied, because she was already planning to stay. They held each other as morning turned to afternoon, two broken people trying to figure out how to be whole. Outside, Seoul hummed with life. Inside the safe house, Time stopped. Blessing woke up on the floor, her head on Jiho's lap, his hand still tangled in her braids. He'd fallen asleep sitting up, head tilted back against the wall, looking younger in rest, vulnerable. She studied his face. This man who'd destroyed and saved her in equal measure. The scar through his eyebrow stood out pale against his skin. She'd given him that the day she finally fought back. Senior year, 2 months before graduation, he'd cornered her in the art room, said something cruel about her mother. Blessing had grabbed a clay sculpture tool and swung. She'd expected him to hit her back. He'd just stood there bleeding, smiling like she'd given him a gift. Finally, he'd said, "There's my fighter." Now, watching him sleep, Blessing realised he'd wanted her to hurt him, had been trying to provoke her into violence because that's what love looked like in his world. Take and break and bleed together. "You're staring," Jiho murmured, eyes still closed. "How did you know?" "I always know when you're looking at me. Have since high school." He opened his eyes, looked down at her. "Used to feel your gaze on me in class, in the halls. Burned like sunlight. I lived for it. That's not normal. Nothing about me is normal, Blessing. Thought we'd established that." He shifted, grimacing. "My leg's asleep. Move." She sat up, watched him stand and stretch. His shirt rode up, revealing more scars. A map of pain across his abdomen. "Your father?" she asked quietly. "And uncle. And various lessons about respect and obedience." He said it casually, but his hands shook. "Kang family tradition. Build strong men through suffering. That's not strength. That's trauma. Same thing in my world." He moved to the kitchenette, started making coffee from supplies left in the cupboard. "My therapist says I have complex PTSD, attachment disorder, antisocial tendencies with empathy deficits. Basically, I'm a psychological disaster. But you're in therapy." Was, until I decided to die. Seemed pointless to work on mental health when the body was failing. He poured 2 cups, brought one to her. "I was a terrible patient anyway. Kept lying to make myself look better. Therapist called me on it every time." Blessing took the coffee, let the warmth seep into her hands. "What did you lie about?" "You." He sat across from her, cross-legged. "She kept asking about my obsession with a girl from high school. I told her I was over it. Meanwhile, I was buying your building, tracking your movements, planning how to bring you back into my life." He smiled without humour. "She'd probably have me committed if she knew." "Probably should be committed," Blessing muttered. "Agreed, but hospitals can't fix what's wrong with me. Can't undo years of conditioning and abuse. Can't erase the fact that I learned love through violence." His voice dropped. "All they can do is teach me better coping mechanisms, help me recognise when I'm being obsessive versus protective, neither of which matters if I'm dead in 6 months. You're not dying." Blessing said it fiercely. "You promised to try treatment." "I promised to try. Didn't promise it would work." He drank his coffee, watching her over the rim. "You should know, even if I survive, I'm not going to magically become a good person. The cancer isn't what makes me dangerous, Blessing. I am." "I know." "And you're still here." "I'm still here." Something shifted between them. Not forgiveness, not yet. But understanding, maybe. Or the beginning of it. Jiho's phone buzzed. He checked it, frowned. Media picked up the story. Family drama at Kang compound, police investigation, the works, uncles scrambling to control the narrative. What happens now? Now we wait. Let him panic. I've got lawyers releasing documents about family crimes, accountants exposing financial fraud. By tomorrow, the Kang syndicate will be too busy surviving to worry about killing you. He set down the phone. Then we start phase 2, which is dismantling everything, every illegal operation, every corrupt partnership, every slave contract my family holds. I'm burning it all down. His eyes met hers, intense, But I need help. Someone I can trust. Someone with fresh eyes who can see the rot I've become blind to. You want me to help destroy a criminal empire? Yes, and document it. Your photography, your eye for truth. I want evidence of what we're tearing down and why. He leaned forward. I want to prove that this family did terrible things, and I want your voice, as an outsider, as a victim, telling the story, so it can't be buried or rewritten. Blessing's mind raced. This was insane, dangerous, illegal, probably, also the biggest story of her career. If I do this, she said slowly, I have conditions. Name them. First, David's debt is forgiven, completely, no loopholes. Done. Already was, but I'll put it in writing. Second, I need access to everything. Files, meetings, operations, no secrets. Agreed. You'll see how ugly it gets. Third, she took a breath. You do the cancer treatment, properly. No half measures because you're feeling fatalistic. Jiho hesitated. Blessing, that's the deal. You want my help, you fight to live. Otherwise, find someone else to document your dramatic self-destruction. He stared at her for a long moment, then smiled, real and warm and heartbreaking. You're blackmailing a mafia boss using his own life. That's either brilliant or suicidal. Probably both. Do we have a deal? Deal. He held out his hand. Blessing shook it, felt the calluses on his palm, the strength in his grip. Partners in crime. Literally. Partners in destroying crime. Blessing corrected. Even better. If you're still watching, drop a like and comment whether you think they'll survive this, because I'm worried, and I'm the one writing this story. Subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. They spent 3 days in the safe house, planning. Jiho had files, digital and physical, documenting decades of Kang family crimes, murder, extortion, human trafficking, drug running. Blessing photographed everything, her horror growing with each revelation. Your father killed 23 people, she said, staring at a ledger. That we know of. 37. Jiho corrected, not looking up from his laptop. 23 are documented. The others are buried deeper, literally and figuratively. How are you so calm about this? Because I grew up in it. This is normal to me. He glanced at her. Which is why I need you. You're still shocked, still have the appropriate emotional response. Mine are dead. Blessing set down her camera. They're not dead. You cried at the school. You cut yourself when I tried to kill myself. You feel things, Jiho. You just don't know how to process them healthily. Same difference. No, not the same. She moved to sit beside him. Feeling nothing would be easier. But you feel everything. It overwhelms you, and you express it through violence. That's not emptiness. That's overflow. He stopped typing, looked at her. My therapist said something similar. That I'm not sociopathic. I'm hyper-empathic with no emotional regulation skills. She's right. Doesn't change what I've done. The people I've hurt. His jaw tightened. I've killed people, Blessing, not in self-defense, in cold blood, for business. The confession hung between them. Blessing knew she should be terrified. Run. Call the police. Instead, she asked, how many? 7, 5 men, 2 women, all people who betrayed the family or threatened our operations. His voice was flat, mechanical. I shot them myself. Uncle insisted, said it would make me a real man. How old were you? First one. 19. Just finished my first year at Columbia. Father brought me home for summer, said it was time to earn my place. Handed me a gun and a problem. Blessing's stomach turned. What did you do? I threw up. After. During I was numb. Just pulled the trigger like target practice. Went home, showered, vomited for an hour, cried until my father beat me for being weak. He finally looked at her. Stopped crying after that. Stopped feeling it. By number 7, it was just another task. That's not normal, Jiho. That's trauma response. Dissociation. Maybe, but the people are still dead, and I'm the one who killed them. He closed the laptop. So, when you look at me, remember that. I'm not just your high school bully. I'm a murderer. Blessing sat with that truth. Let it settle. She should run, should hate him. But she'd seen his scars, heard his broken confessions, watched him cry over who he'd become. Were they innocent? She asked. The people you killed? No, all criminals. Murderers themselves, or close enough. Does that matter? I don't know. Does it? He searched her face. Does it matter if I killed bad people, or am I damned regardless? I think, Blessing chose her words carefully, I think you're a product of abuse who was forced to do terrible things by your abusers. That doesn't erase the harm, but it means you're not beyond redemption. You're very generous with forgiveness. I'm not forgiving you. I'm understanding you. There's a difference. She took his hand. Forgiveness might come later, or never, but understanding you can have now. Jiho's fingers tightened around hers. I don't deserve you. Probably not, but we're past deserving. We're in survival mode now. A knock on the door shattered the moment. 3 sharp raps. A pause. 2 more. A code. Jiho was on his feet instantly, gun drawn. Stay behind me. He opened the door to reveal a young woman in a business suit, Korean, carrying a briefcase. Mr. Kang, she bowed. I'm Attorney Park Mina. Your lawyer sent me with documents requiring your signature. Jiho didn't lower the gun. How did you find this location? Mr. Kwon provided the address. Said it was urgent. She held out the briefcase. Transfer papers for your assets. Everything you requested. He gestured her inside, checked the hallway, locked the door. Show me. Attorney Park opened the briefcase, spread papers across the small table. Blessing watched as Jiho reviewed them, his expression neutral, but his hands shaking slightly. These transfer all my legitimate businesses to a trust, he explained to Blessing. Restaurants, real estate, investment portfolios. Everything legal goes into a charitable foundation. Board of directors includes human rights lawyers, activists, community organisers, people who will use the money for good. And the illegal operations, Blessing asked, those we're turning over to authorities, along with evidence, witness testimonies, everything needed for prosecution. He signed a document, moved to the next. Everyone currently enslaved by family contracts gets freed, debts forgiven. We're offering relocation assistance, job training, therapy, trying to undo decades of harm. Attorney Park nodded. The logistics are complex. We're working with international human rights organisations to ensure proper support. Many victims are from Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, Africa. They'll need immigration help, protection from retaliation. Whatever it costs, Jiho said. Spend it all if necessary. I don't want a single person trapped because of my family's greed. They worked through the papers for 2 hours. Blessing photographed everything, documenting the dismantling of an empire. When Attorney Park left, Jiho slumped against the wall. It's happening, he said softly. It's really happening. Having second thoughts, Blessing asked. No, just realising how big it is, how many people we hurt, how much damage needs undoing. He looked at her. This is going to take years. I might not live to see it finished. Then we better get started on that treatment. Blessing pulled out her phone. I'm calling Seoul National University Hospital. They have the best oncology department. Blessing, no arguments. You promised. Partners, remember? She dialed. Besides, I need you alive. Can't destroy a mafia empire by myself. He watched her make the appointment, something soft and broken in his expression. When she hung up, he crossed to her, cupped her face in his hands. Thank you, he whispered. Don't thank me yet. Chemo is hell. You're going to hate it. I've survived worse. His thumb brushed her cheek. I survived losing you once. Everything else is manageable. Before Blessing could respond, he kissed her. Not demanding or possessive like at the wedding. Soft, tentative. Asking permission even as he took it. Blessing's mind screamed warnings. This was her bully, her captor, a murderer. She should push him away. Instead, she kissed him back. It was gentle and desperate and tasted like coffee and regret. His hands shook against her face and she felt his heart hammering fast as hers when they broke apart, both breathing hard. Jiho rested his forehead against hers. "Tell me to stop," he said. "Tell me this is wrong. It is wrong." "Then why aren't you stopping me?" "Because I'm tired of fighting." Blessing closed her eyes. "Fighting you, fighting my feelings, fighting the fact that despite everything, I still..." She stopped, terrified to finish. Still what? Still see him. The boy I loved. Under all the damage, he's still there. She opened her eyes, met his gaze, and I'm either a fool or a masochist for wanting to find him again. Both, probably. His smile was sad, but I'm not complaining. They stood there, foreheads touching, breathing each other's air. Outside, Soul rushed past, oblivious. Inside, two broken people try to figure out how to be whole. "First chemo session is Thursday," Blessing said finally. "I'm coming with you." "You don't have to." "I know. I'm coming anyway. Someone needs to document your dramatic suffering for posterity." She stepped back, creating distance. "But Jiho, this, us, whatever this is, it doesn't mean forgiveness. It doesn't erase what you did." "I know. And if you ever manipulate me again, force me into anything, I'll destroy you myself. Understood?" "Understood?" He looked at her with something like awe. "You're terrifying when you're assertive. It's attractive." "Don't push your luck." "Wouldn't dream of it." But he smiled, and for the first time since the wedding, Blessing smiled back. Keep watching, because it gets so much more complicated. Hit subscribe and comment your thoughts. Are they toxic or healing? I genuinely don't know anymore. The first chemo session was a nightmare. Blessing held Jiho's hand while poison dripped into his veins, watched him try to stay stoic, saw the moment he broke and vomited into the basin she held for him. He cried silently after, exhausted and humiliated. "I'm sorry," he kept saying. "I'm sorry you have to see this." "Stop apologizing." Blessing wiped his face with a cool cloth. "This is what healing looks like, ugly and hard. This isn't healing. This is dying slowly." "No. Dying slowly is what you were doing before. This is fighting." She kissed his forehead. "And you're a fighter, even if you forgot for a while." They returned to the safe house where Jiho slept for 18 hours straight. Blessing worked while he rested, organising files, contacting journalists, building a case against the Kang family that couldn't be ignored. On day 3 post-chemo, David called. "Blessing!" Her brother's voice sounded distant. "Where are you? I've been going crazy. They said you got married, but..." "David, listen to me carefully." Blessing moved to the window, watched the alley for threats. "Everything I'm about to tell you is going to sound insane, but I need you to stay calm." She explained everything: the debt, the forced marriage, Jiho's identity, the cancer, the plan to destroy the Kang Empire. David listened in silence until she finished. "Let me get this straight," he said finally. "You married Jason Park, your high school bully, who is now a mafia boss with terminal cancer, and you're helping him commit organised crime suicide. That's reductive, but accurate." "Blessing, what the fuck?" I know it's insane. But David, he's trying to make things right, and I'm documenting it. This could be the story that defines my career. Or gets you killed. David's voice rose. "These are dangerous people, Blessing. You can't just expose them and expect to walk away." "I'm not walking away. I'm burning it down." She surprised herself with a conviction in her voice. They hurt him. They hurt so many people. Someone needs to stop them. That someone doesn't have to be you. Yes, it does. Because I see him, David. I see who he could have been without the abuse. who he's trying to become even now, and maybe, her voice cracked, maybe saving him saves that 16-year-old girl who wanted to die. Maybe this is how we both heal. David was quiet for a long moment. You still love him. I don't know what I feel, but I'm not leaving him. Then I'm coming to Seoul. Give me your location. David, no, I'm not asking, Blessing. You're my sister. If you're going to do something suicidal, I'm going to be there to either help or drag you away. His voice softened. Give me the address, please. Blessing hesitated, then gave it to him. David promised to arrive within the week. When she hung up, Jiho was awake, watching from the bed. Your brother sounds protective, he said. He's all I have left. Blessing sat beside him. How are you feeling? Like death, but less than I expected. He reached for her hand. Thank you for staying, for the chemo, for not running when you had the chance. Where would I run to? You bought my building, remember? I'll sign it over to you, all of it. You'll own your studio outright. I don't want your guilt money, Jiho. It's not guilt money, it's reparations. He pulled her down to lie beside him. You should have been building your career without my interference. This gives you that chance. They lay there, Blessing's head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. Steady. Alive. Tell me about your mother, Jiho said suddenly. Your real one, not the sanitized high school version you shared. Blessing took a breath. She came to Korea in her 20s, nurse from Lagos, married my father, who she met at a medical conference. He was Korean-Nigerian, first generation, owned a small restaurant in Itaewon. She smiled at the memory. They were so happy, dancing in the kitjon, singing off-key, making terrible puns in 3 languages. What happened to them? Car accident when I was 15. Drunk driver, icy roads, wrong place, wrong time. Her voice thickened. David was with them, survived but spent months in the hospital. I was at a photography workshop, missed the whole thing. Came home to police and social services and a world that had ended. Jiho's arm tightened around her. I'm sorry. My mother used to say, suffering either makes you bitter or better. Your choice which? Blessing wiped her eyes. I tried to choose better. Then you happened and I chose bitter instead. But you're choosing better now. Am I? Or am I just broken in a way that fits your brokenness? She looked up at him. Sometimes I think we're both so damaged we can't recognize healthy anymore. Maybe, but we're trying. That counts for something. Does it? I hope so, because if it doesn't... He stopped, voice rough. If trying doesn't matter, if we can't be more than what we were made to be, then what's the point? The point is we're still here, still fighting, still trying to undo the harm. Even if we fail. Especially if we fail, because at least we'll fail trying to do the right thing. Jiho kissed her hair. You're a better person than me. Not better, just less practiced at being terrible. He laughed, real and surprised. God, I love you. The words hung in the air. Blessing froze. I know you don't want to hear it, Jiho continued. I know I have no right. But I've loved you since you punched me for stealing your camera, loved you through every terrible thing I did. Love you now, watching you be brave when I only know how to be cruel. His voice broke. You don't have to say it back. Don't have to feel it. I just needed you to know. Blessing's throat closed. She should say she didn't love him, couldn't love him. That love wasn't supposed to hurt this much. Instead, she whispered, I know. They fell asleep, tangled together, 2 broken people making one fragile whole. Comment if you think they can actually heal together, or if this is doomed. And subscribe because the uncle isn't done yet. David arrived on a Tuesday, taking one look at the safe house before declaring, we need better security. He was taller than Blessing remembered, broader, with their father's eyes and their mother's stubborn chin. He also brought weapons. Where did you get guns? Blessing demanded. Contacts. Don't ask. David set down a duffel bag. If you're taking down a mafia family, you need protection. Jiho emerged from the bedroom, still weak from chemo, but upright. The two men stared at each other. "You're the one who hurt my sister," David said flatly. "Yes." "Give me one good reason not to shoot you right now." "I don't have one. If you want to kill me, make it quick. I'm dying anyway." Jiho's voice was steady. "But wait until Blessing's safe. Until the family is destroyed. Then I'm yours." David looked at Blessing. "You're serious about him?" "Unfortunately. Jesus, Blessing." But David lowered the gun. "Fine. We'll table my homicidal urges until the mission is complete, but after—" He pointed at Jiho. "You and I are having a very pointed conversation." "Looking forward to it," Jiho said dryly. They spent the next week planning. Jiho provided access to everything, every dirty secret, every crime, every victim. Blessing photographed and documented. David handled security and logistics. Slowly, they built an airtight case. "This is enough to bring down the entire organization," Attorney Park confirmed. "During a secure video call, we have financial crimes, human rights violations, murder. The prosecution is chomping at the bit." "When?" Jiho asked. 2 weeks. We'll coordinate with international authorities for simultaneous raids. Everyone gets arrested at once. No one escapes. Including me," Jiho said. "What?" Blessing grabbed his arm. "No, you're cooperating. You get immunity." "I'm still guilty, Blessing, of murder, extortion, everything else. I need to face consequences." "You're dying. What's the point of prison if—" "The point is justice. For all the people I hurt, I can't ask them to trust this system if I'm exempt from it." He cupped her face. "I'll do my time. Whatever's left of it. Then at least I'll die having paid some debt." "This is stupid. You're being stupidly noble. Probably, but it's the right thing." He kissed her forehead. "Besides, you'll visit me, bring terrible prison food, take photos of me wasting away for your documentary." "I hate you," Blessing whispered. No, I love you too." The day before the raids, Jiho's uncle made his move. Blessing was alone in the safe house, David and Jiho meeting with lawyers, when the door exploded inward. 3 men, armed, professional. She grabbed her camera instinctively. Stupid protective reflex. "Ms. Sunday," the lead man smiled. "Mr. Kang sends his regards." Blessing ran for the bedroom, slammed the door, shoved a dresser against it, pulled out the phone Jiho had given her, pressed the panic button. Hoped someone would come. They broke through in seconds. "This will be quick," the man said, raising his gun. Blessing closed her eyes. A shot rang out. Then another. Shouting. More shots. She opened her eyes to see David in the doorway, smoking gun in hand, 3 bodies on the floor. "You okay?" Her brother was breathing hard, checking the room. "How did you—" "Security alert. Came back early." He helped her up. "We need to move. They know where you are." They grabbed essential files, Blessing's camera equipment, and ran. David had a car waiting, different safe house already secured. As they sped through Seoul, Blessing's phone rang. Jiho's voice was sharp with panic. "Blessing, are you—" "I'm fine. David saved me. We're relocating." "Thank God! Thank God!" He sounded like he was crying. "I'm sorry. I should have been there. Should have protected you better. Not your fault. We're okay." She looked at the bodies they'd left behind. "Jiho, this needs to end. Before anyone else gets hurt. It will. Tomorrow. The raids happen tomorrow." He paused. "After that, I turn myself in. No more delays." "Okay." Blessing's voice broke. "Okay. But tonight, come find us. I need to see you. Make sure you're real. I'll find you. Always." He did. Late that night, Jiho arrived at the new safe house, pulled Blessing into his arms, and held on like he'd never let go. "I almost lost you," he said into her hair. "Again, I can't." "I'm here. I'm okay." She held him tighter. "We're okay. They stayed like that for a long time, David watching with complicated emotions on his face. Finally, he cleared his throat. "I'm going to secure the perimeter. You two have 20 minutes. Then we need to plan for tomorrow." When he left, Jiho pulled back enough to look at Blessing. "I need to tell you something, in case tomorrow goes wrong." "Nothing's going wrong." "Let me say it anyway." He took a shaky breath. "That day behind the art building, before Mark ruined everything, I was going to tell you I loved you. Had it all planned. Brought your favourite cookies from that Nigerian bakery in Itaewon. Was going to ask you to prom. Make it official. Jiho! Instead, I destroyed everything. Became the monster my father wanted. Hurt you in ways I can never fix." Tears streaked his face. "But if I could go back, if I could do it all differently, I would have kissed you that day. Told you everything. Protected you from my family and myself and everything terrible in this world." Blessing was crying too now. "We can't go back." "I know, but we can go forward." He pulled out a small box, opened it to reveal a simple silver ring. "This isn't romantic. It's not a proposal. It's just..." He struggled for words. "A promise. That whatever happens tomorrow, you get to walk away free. No debt. No obligation, no ties to my family. You get your life back. I don't want my life back. I want..." She stopped, terrified to admit it. "What do you want, Blessing?" "You. Alive, healthy, free. I want all the years we lost. I want to wake up next to you without nightmares. I want normal and boring and safe." Her voice broke. "I want the impossible. Then let's make it possible." He slid the ring onto her finger. "Survive tomorrow, build that life, and if by some miracle I live through treatment, through prison, through everything..." He smiled through tears. "Come find me. We'll try again. Do it right this time. Deal." Blessing kissed him, desperate and gentle. "But you have to promise to fight. For every day, every breath. Promise me you'll try to live." "I promise. For you, I'll try." They held each other as the night deepened, knowing tomorrow everything would change, knowing this might be the last piece they ever got. But for now, they had this, broken and healing and impossibly hopeful, and sometimes that was enough. Subscribe and comment, because tomorrow's the raid and I'm not sure who survives. The finale is coming and it's going to hurt so good. The raids happened at dawn. Synchronized across Seoul, international authorities moving on every Kang operation simultaneously. Blessing and David watched from a secure location, live feeds on multiple screens showing the controlled chaos. Men in suits, hands zip-tied, faces shocked, women crying, children confused, bank accounts frozen, assets seized, an empire crumbling in real time, and Jiho surrendering peacefully at the main compound, head high even as they read his rights. Blessing's phone buzzed, a text from Attorney Park. "It's done. Everyone in custody. Your brother's debt officially forgiven, all documentation destroyed. You're free." She should have felt relief. Instead, she felt hollow. "He kept his promise," David said quietly, turned himself in, gave them everything. "I know. You love him, really love him." Blessing couldn't answer, just watched the screen as they led Jiho away. The trial took 3 months. Blessing attended every day, sitting in the back with her camera, documenting everything. Jiho pled guilty to multiple charges: manslaughter, extortion, racketeering. His cooperation earned leniency, but not freedom. 8 years. Eligible for parole in 5 if he survived that long. When they read the sentence, Jiho looked directly at Blessing, mouthed, "I'm sorry." She mouthed back, "I know." The documentary was released 6 months later. Breaking the Syndicate, One Family's Fall, premiered at Seoul International Film Festival to standing ovations. Blessing's photography was haunting, her narration honest about both the crimes and the complicated humanity of the perpetrators. Jiho watched it from prison, Blessing visiting to get his reaction. "You made me look sympathetic," he said, shaking his head. "I don't deserve that. I made you look human. There's a difference." She reached across the table, took his hand. Guards watched, but didn't intervene. "How's treatment going?" "Brutal, but working. Tumours shrinking." He smiled, thin but real. "Doctor says if this keeps up, I might actually live." "Good, because you promised me years." "I did, and I am a man of my word now." He squeezed her fingers, Blessing. "You don't have to wait for me. 8 years is a long time. If you meet someone..." "Stop. I'm not having this conversation." "But..." "Jiho..." She looked at him seriously. "I spent 6 years running from you, 3 years being manipulated by you, 6 months destroying your family with you. I'm not spending the next 8 years with anyone but you, even if I only see you through glass. That's not a life. It's my life, my choice, and I choose this." She pulled out her own ring, simple silver matching his. "Partners, remember. In destroying crime, in surviving, in whatever comes next." He stared at the ring, then at her, tears gathering. "I don't deserve you." "Probably not, but we're past deserving." She smiled. "Now tell me about the other inmates. I want stories for the follow-up documentary." He laughed, watery but genuine, and began to talk. 3 years later, Blessing's photography won international awards. She used the money to fund programs for trafficking survivors, establishing the Kang Redemption Foundation, despite the controversial name. "People need to know," she told reporters, "that change is possible, that people who do terrible things can still choose to do better." Jiho Kang destroyed lives, including mine, but he also saved hundreds by dismantling his family's operations. Both truths exist. She visited him every week, watched him grow healthier, softer, watched the hard edges of the MAFIA air fade, replaced by something gentler. He took college courses in prison, studied psychology, wanted to understand the damage his family caused. "I'll never be normal," he told her during one visit. "Too much trauma, too many crimes, but maybe I can be useful, help other people trapped in cycles of violence." "You already are," Blessing assured him. Year 5, he came up for parole. Blessing testified, as did dozens of people he'd helped free from the Kang syndicate. The board deliberated for hours. "Parole granted," they announced, with conditions: continued therapy, community service, restriction from certain businesses. "But you're free, Mr. Kang." Jiho walked out of prison on a Tuesday morning. Blessing was waiting. She'd imagined this moment 1,000 times, a dramatic kiss, tears, romance movie perfection. Instead, they stood there awkwardly, neither quite sure what to do now that they could touch without supervision. "Hi," Jiho said finally. "Hi yourself." Blessing smiled. "Ready to try this normal thing?" Terrified. But yes. They went to her apartment, the one he'd bought and signed over, sat on her couch drinking terrible coffee, talked about nothing and everything. "I have nightmares," Jiho admitted, "about the people I killed, the damage I caused. Therapy helps, but it never fully goes away." "I have nightmares too," Blessing said, "about high school, about the wedding, about almost losing you." She took his hand. "But I also have good dreams now, about us, about the future." "What does that future look like?" "Quiet, simple. Maybe a small photography studio, you working with at-risk youth. A home that's actually a home, not a prison or palace." She leaned against him. "Maybe kids someday, if we can trust ourselves not to pass on the damage. I'd like that." He kissed her head. All of it. Even the terrifying kid part. They sat in comfortable silence as Soul hummed outside, not perfect, not healed, but healing. Together. 6 months later, they got married for real. Small ceremony, just David and a few close friends. No masks, no force, no empire weighing them down. Just two people choosing each other with full knowledge of what that meant. "Do you, Blessing Sunday, take this man?" the officiant asked. Blessing looked at Jiho, saw the boy she'd loved and the man he'd become, saw the scars, the regrets, the hope. "I do," she said clearly. "And do you, Keng Jiho, take this woman?" Jiho's voice was steady, eyes bright. "I do. For real this time. For always." When they kissed, Blessing tasted salt from both their tears, happy ones, finally. The reception was in a small Nigerian restaurant in Itaewon, the one Blessing's father once owned, now restored with Jiho's help. They served jollof rice and kimchi side by side, two cultures blending. David made a toast. "To my sister, who's either the bravest or craziest person I know, and to Jiho, who better treat her right or he'll answer to me. And to second chances," Jiho added quietly. "May we be worthy of them." They danced to Afro beats and K-pop, laughed with friends, stole kisses in quiet corners. When the night ended, they went home to their small apartment, to their simple life, to their hard-won peace. "I love you," Jiho said, holding Blessing close in bed. "I've loved you for 10 years, through terrible and good, and I'll love you for whatever years I have left." "You better," Blessing murmured, already half asleep. "Because I'm not going anywhere." "Good, because neither am I." Outside, Seoul sparkled with endless lights. Inside, two broken people slept peacefully, finally whole. 5 years later, their daughter was born. They named her Grace, for the undeserved gift of their second chance. She had Blessing's eyes and Jiho's smile, and when she cried, Jiho held her with shaking hands. "I'm terrified," he admitted. "What if I mess her up like my father did to me?" "You won't." Blessing touched his face. "Because you know what damage looks like. You'll recognize the warning signs, and we'll get help when we need it." "You're so sure." "I'm sure of you, of us, of this choice we keep making every day to be better than what we were made to be." Jiho kissed his daughter's forehead, then his wife's. "Thank you for not giving up on me, for seeing past the monster." "There was never just a monster," Blessing said. "There was always a boy who loved too hard and hurt too much. I just helped him find his way home." And in that moment, in that small apartment in Seoul, with their baby between them and years of healing behind them, they were finally, beautifully free. The end. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Drop a comment telling me if you believe in second chances after abuse. Hit that like button if this story broke and healed your heart. And subscribe because next week, we're starting a new story that's going to be just as wild. Sometimes love isn't about perfection. Sometimes it's about two broken people choosing every day to be better together than they were apart. This is Blessing and Jiho's story, flawed, complicated, real, and somehow, against all odds, beautiful.